On this episode of Klaus, I learned to count past 6. We find out what Klaus will sound like.
Now go vroom vroom.
Vroom vroom noises.
And Alan finds something to cut a hole in. At the end of last episode, Klaus still had his doors on. Now we could claim this was for some sort of security reason, or to keep the weather out, but really the problem was we couldn't actually get the doors off. Inevitably, one bolt on each side was rusted solid. So if you can't undo it, and you can't fix it with a hammer, we have to drill it out. Before we go too much further, we need to get an idea of what we're dealing with. Each door weighs in at 20 kilos, so the pair of them currently add up to about 5% of our 800 kilo goal. So it's time to start stripping the door down to its bare skin. It's not a hard job, and one made a lot easier with the fast forward button. For the moment, we're going to save everything, but a lot of this won't actually be going back in. With everything off the door, we can look at reskinning it. Wait. Before we can start cutting things, we need a way of making sure everything goes back where it should. So we need to whip up a negative jig thingy. We now return you to your regular programming. It's a simple matter of cutting the rust out and getting down to something solid to weld in. The driver's door isn't too damaged and just needs a simple patch on the outside. Because of the curve of the door skin, we need to relieve the lower return to allow it to bend properly. As for actually attaching the panel, we looked at some arts and crafts ideas. That's right, we're gluing it on.
And now on here?
Yep.
On the bottom first.
Gluing panels isn't really new. Most manufacturers are using it to some extent these days. And really the only role of the door is to keep the outside out and the inside in. I will admit though, the manufacturers probably don't make this amount of mess.
Under, and comes up. Yep, that was bound to
This
happen.
is where the frame we made earlier comes in.
Is that one there?
It helps to show any low spots where the panel may have sagged, and by clamping it we can manipulate the panel as it dries. Now it wouldn't be a bodywork episode without breaking out the bog. When someone asked if I could do bodywork, I said I could slap bog on. I never said I was any good at it. And you probably wouldn't see a professional using an ice cream lid as a pallet. But hey, that's why sanders were invented. Passenger door is in worse shape. Aside from the outer skin, the inner frame is rotten and the lower hinge is only held in place by good intentions. And with so little holding the door together, we might as well cut some more out of it. We've bent some panels to match the door. Some say he breathes inert gas, or that he has a lightning tip. All we know is, he's called the TIG. This could have been done with a MIG, but it's a good excuse to get the practice. From the outside, with the hinge removed, we can see what remains of a strengthening panel that used to support the weight of the door. We're replacing it with a piece of 2mm that's been bent to fit. A few plug welds hold it in place for the moment. And while we can, we'll give it a quick lick of paint too. To hold the lower hinge in place, we've made a surrogate A-pillar out of 10mm cold rolled steel. With the hinge bolted to the jig, we can MIG it in place. Originally it was riveted in, but if it ever needs to come out, we've got bigger problems anyway. As for the driver's door, we're going to slice the panel and run a flange across the top to help it slot into place. All this added flexibility isn't just for making funny noises with. We never would have thought that the door has such a pronounced curve to it. Now we're on the final straight to getting this door repaired. We're going to use the same method of riveting the panel together while the glue dries. The glue we're using here sets off quickly. It's a two-person job to get it in place before it turns to chewing gum. And from here, it's a waiting game.
Now go vroom vroom. Vroom vroom noises.
Now that we've added all that weight back into the door, we need to look at how much we can get out. It's a matter of marking up the inner door panel and cut it out with the grinder. The finger sander takes care of any little finger biters. For safety's sake, we're going to bend the inside edge of the hole. Using a tip taken from Nick over at Bad Obsession, just slip the slot over the panel and give it a tweak. Just remember to work around the panel slowly. And finished off with a hammer and dolly. Now we have a small problem. The opening mechanism originally used this pull rod from the front of the door, but some pillock decided to cut a gaping hole in it. So let's mock something up. This little bracket changes the direction of the pull. Now to be fair, this wasn't our own idea, we stole it off someone's race ute. It's lightweight and fixes most of our problems. Now let's get back to putting this thing on a diet. Glass is bloody heavy, and also has a nasty habit of breaking in the case of an accident. Polycarbonate on the other hand is light, easy to work with, and most of all, we had a sheet lying around. So we've traced out the windows and I convinced Alan to cut them out. We've decided to stick to the standard window winder mechanism instead of going with the more common slider style windows. It's simple, lightweight, and if ever needed there's an easy exit if the doors don't open. It's also a lot easier to get a Big Mac and shake through. We need to make a frame to hold the quarter window, so we've made an MDF form, and with copious addition of heat we can bend some aluminium channel to match it. The trick to annealing aluminium, without melting it, is to touch a piece of wood to it. If the wood chars, it's ready to bend. The form, on the other hand, it's cooked. A little hammer and dolly time smooths out any kinks, so we can glue the window together. Now it's just a matter of putting it all together. The latch goes in and we can attach our pull cable to it. We're using screw terminals normally used for electrical work. Then we can drill the hole and pass the cable through. From here it's just a matter of putting in the 2 windows and we can see how well our diet worked. We've managed to lose 6 kilos per door. Not the 50% we were hoping for, but it's good enough. Either way, the door can go back on.
Wind goes up, wind goes down. Wind goes up, wind goes down. Wind goes up, wind goes down. Yeah, I threw the seat in it. Hang on, let me wind the window down. I'm not 100% sure where the seat's going to go.
Yeah, I think it has to move over that way a little bit because I think we've got to try and get a... I don't know. Get about up here because we're quite a way back from the pillar by the time we come to that.
Well, I think it actually needs to move forward a fair amount.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I'm nowhere near the...
You're not reaching